Here, victory is not a prize for the strongest. Existence itself is reserved for the phenomenally adaptable. In this vast and open arena, the very notion of a safe haven is an illusion. This tranquility is merely a thin veil, concealing gazes of unwavering focus. The unforgiving turning of life and death never ceases, not for a moment. And in the end, no creature can escape the unwritten verdict of the struggle for survival. The wildlands of Africa are shaped by timeless confrontations, and among them, the duel between lion and buffalo is the most tragic of epics. On one side, the continent's sovereign predator, an icon of ruthless strategy, reigning from the apex of the food pyramid. On the other, a colossal herbivore, possessing a primal power sufficient to reverse the roles, turning hunter into hunted. Lions have elevated the art of cooperation to a new level. Unlike other solitary great cats, their collective strength is the key to subduing formidable adversaries. The lionesses, with their blend of stamina and tactical discipline, are always the vanguard. Amidst the tall grasses, they move like invisible golden phantoms. Every movement is meticulously calculated. Each approach is a dance demanding absolute precision. The task is clear: to bring down a Cape buffalo, a giant that can weigh up to 2,000 pounds. But hunting buffalo is an entirely different game from hunting zebra. This is a gamble where the price of failure can be life itself. The moment the pride reveals itself, the entire savanna is instantly transformed into a battlefield. The ground trembles beneath the powerful hooves of the buffalo herd. Instead of scattering in panic, the herd responds like a well-drilled army. They form a protective circle around the young, lowering their heads in unison and pointing their horns outward, creating a fortress of flesh and bone. A single counterattack is all it takes to turn the tide of battle. The force of a buffalo's charge can hurl a fully grown lion into the air, shattering its ribs and inflicting wounds from which there is no recovery. But those horns are more than just weapons. They're a chronicle of its entire life. The broad, solid base of the horns, known as the boss, fuses together in mature males, forming a near impenetrable helmet. Even more astonishing is the buffalo's formidable memory, and an instinct that seems to border on a capacity for vengeance. There are documented cases of herds returning to relentlessly track down and retaliate against lions that had attacked them days before. This behavior goes far beyond simple self-defense. It has all the hallmarks of revenge. For a lion, a serious injury is not just painful, it is a death sentence. A weakened hunter is left behind, unable to join the chase and unable to survive. And yet, hunger drives the pride onward into this perilous hunt. Bringing down a single buffalo is a monumental prize, enough to feed the entire pride for many days. The outcome of the war between lion and buffalo is rarely decisive. More often, it ends in a bloody stalemate for both sides. There are times, however, when the pride's strategy prevails, when coordination and patience culminate in an irresistible ambush. The lion may be the king of beasts, but when facing the buffalo, even a king must bow to the uncertainty of nature. The African savanna is one of the planet's most dramatic and expansive stages. From Kenya to Botswana, it stretches out like a seemingly endless golden carpet. On the surface, this landscape appears open and serene, but it is in fact a theater of nature, where every element plays a part in the great drama of survival. This is a world of brutal contrasts. Under the daylight sun, the ground is scorched and parched. When night falls, the heat gives way to a bone-chilling cold. The sheer vastness of the savanna creates an illusion of space. It seems infinite, yet it is also a trap, with no escape. For the creatures here, there is no true place to hide. In this open expanse, the strong cannot conceal their power, and the weak are always the first to fall. On this immense stage, every action is exposed under the unforgiving lens of creation. A single mistake, no matter how small, can become a death warrant. And in this land, with no room for error, life belongs only to those who can adapt faster than a heartbeat. On the African savanna, the passage of time is measured not in days and nights. The rhythm of life here follows two distinct seasons: the wet and the dry. When the rains arrive, the skies unleash furious deluges. In a matter of weeks, the arid landscape is resurrected into a sea of green. Grasses can shoot up to over 6 feet. Millions of wildebeest, zebra and gazelles pour onto the plains to feast on the abundance. But this prosperity also awakens the predators. Lions, cheetahs, leopards, and spotted hyenas seize the opportunity presented by the profusion of young prey. Then, the cycle reverses. The dry season descends like a consuming fire. The clear blue sky becomes an adversary, the sun baking the earth until it cracks. The green pastures vanish, leaving behind a brittle, yellowed vegetation that crumbles underfoot. Rivers shrink to stagnant pools. In the dry season, existence becomes a test of endurance. Animals must embark on arduous migrations in search of water and food. It is now that natural selection reveals its most ruthless nature. Only the most resilient individuals on this journey can hope to see the rains return. The African savanna is famed for its great herbivores, but it is the predators who are the deciding force in the balance of the entire ecosystem. Among them, 4 species have become iconic symbols of power, speed, intelligence, and ferocity: the lion, the leopard, the cheetah, and the spotted hyena. The lion is the embodiment of authority and collective strength. Unlike other solitary great cats, they live and hunt in organized prides. This social lifestyle has turned them into master strategists, capable of confronting large prey like zebra, wildebeest, and even buffalo. The leopard is an artist of stealth. Its coat is covered in dark rosettes, allowing it to blend perfectly into the shade of a tree or the dappled light of the bush. Its success comes from patience and individual might. It stalks its prey silently until the last possible moment, then launches its attack with a lethal explosion of power. Its signature move is the phenomenal strength to haul its kill, sometimes double its own body weight, high into the branches of a tree to keep its prize safe from competitors. The cheetah, by contrast, wagers everything on pure speed. It is the fastest land animal on Earth, capable of accelerating from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 3 seconds. However, the secret to its velocity lies in more than just its legs. Its spine is astonishingly flexible, acting like a giant spring, coiling and uncoiling to propel the body forward with each long stride. Its long, heavy tail is not for show. It acts as a rudder, allowing the cheetah to maintain its balance while making sharp turns at high speed. Its entire body is a masterpiece of biological engineering, built for a single purpose: explosive acceleration. But this specialization comes at a cost. The cheetah cannot maintain this top speed for long. After just a few seconds of sprinting, its body is overcome by exhaustion. The spotted hyena, often dismissed as a mere scavenger, is in fact one of the most successful hunters on the savanna. Its bite force is among the most powerful of all carnivorous mammals, strong enough to crush the largest bones. Contrary to popular belief, hyenas hunt most of their own food. They hunt in clans, relentlessly pursuing their quarry and running it to utter exhaustion. And their ferocity begins at birth. Hyena cubs are born with their eyes open and a full set of teeth. If they are twins, the struggle for life begins immediately. The infants will attack one another, sometimes to the death, just hours after being born, a behavior known as siblicide. In this cradle of death, only the strongest will survive to inherit the clan's legacy. These four predators prove that there is no single formula for survival. The lion succeeds through unity, the leopard through cunning, the cheetah through speed, and the hyena through the power of the clan. But the savanna's dominion is not confined to the ground. The sky has its own tyrants, winged predators whose shadows darken the sun, where power is decided not by claws on the earth, but by sight and a deadly silence from above. At the top of the aerial food chain is the martial eagle, Africa's most powerful avian predator. With a wingspan of over 6 feet and extraordinary vision, it surveys its domain from an incredible height. Once prey is spotted, it plummets like a black arrow, a fatal dive at terrifying speed. Its talons, with a grip strong enough to crush bone, make it an efficient executioner of prey, like young antelope, monkeys, or monitor lizards. But not all aerial tyrants rely on speed and brute force. In the wetlands bordering the savanna, a creature from a prehistoric age still reigns, the shoebill. With its ancient form and its cold, statuesque gaze, it is the personification of patience. It can stand motionless for hours, waiting for an unwary lungfish. Then, in an instant, the stillness is shattered by a lightning-fast strike, its enormous bill clapping shut with the sound of a machine gun. It is a hunting strategy honed over millions of years, a reminder that on the savannah, death can come in any form. If the predators command the stage with their authority, it is the herbivores that are the silent pillars of the African savannah. They are the architects of this ecosystem, reshaping the landscape with every step and ensuring the great cycle of life never stops. Each year, millions of wildebeest, zebra, and gazelles traverse the plains, creating invisible pathways through the vegetation. Their waste fertilizes the soil, returning vital nutrients for new plant growth. Each species plays a specialized role. Zebra graze on the tallest, toughest grasses, clearing the way for wildebeest to feed on the shorter layers. After them, gazelles nibble on the newest shoots, completing a chain of resource exploitation that could not be more efficient. But the life of an herbivore is not one of peaceful grazing. To survive, they have evolved acutely sensitive senses and remarkable collective behaviors. The herd is organized into a defensive formation, with the young protected at the center, while vigilant adults stand guard on the perimeter. The herbivores are not just prey. They are the unseen giants who nurture the land and maintain the fragile equilibrium of an entire ecosystem. Few spectacles in nature can match the majesty of the Great Migration on the African savannah. It is a performance on an epic scale, where millions of wildebeest, along with zebra and gazelles, undertake a journey of around 1,000 miles. This migration is not a simple movement. It is the very pulse of the savannah, an eternal cycle that dictates the life and death of countless species. It all begins in the Serengeti, as the dry season turns the lush green plains into a vast golden dust bowl. Slowly, the herds gather, as if obeying an unseen command. But that command is not entirely invisible. Scientists believe that wildebeest possess an extraordinary ability. They can sense rain from hundreds of miles away. They are not just searching for green grass. They are following the promise of coming rains. Their sensitive hearing can detect the low-frequency sound of distant thunder, guiding them on a journey built on faith in a wetter future. The sound of hooves, at first hesitant, soon merges into a single continuous thunder. This march is a brutal test of endurance. Calves are born on the move and must learn to stand within minutes, for the migration never stops. But the migration is not just a trek across an arid landscape. It is a journey into the territory of death. The Mara River is the most perilous trial. Its murky brown waters conceal Nile crocodiles, ancient giants lying in wait. As the first wildebeest plunge into the river, a scene of chaos erupts. Thousands of bodies push and shove against one another. Many are swept away by the strong current, while others fall to the jaws of the aquatic predators. Even on the far bank, the danger is not over. Lions, hyenas, and cheetahs lie in ambush, waiting for the exhausted animals. On this journey, unity is the ultimate weapon. Wildebeest move in enormous herds, turning the vulnerability of the individual into the strength of a collective wall. Zebra join the throng, bringing their keen senses to spot predators and taking advantage of the safety in numbers. In essence, the migration is an invisible thread that connects the entire ecological web of the savanna. Year after year, generation after generation, the wildebeest follow the same path as if obeying an ancient oath. On the African savanna, herbivores are not passive victims. Each species has evolved its own set of skills and weapons for self-defense. The Thompson's gazelle is a prime example. Small and nimble, it can reach speeds of up to 50 miles per hour. But the secret to its survival lies in more than just speed. Its zigzagging run can confound even the fastest of predators. The zebra does not rely on a single strategy. In flight, it can reach 40 miles per hour, but its truly fearsome weapons are its back legs. Its hind legs are potent biological weapons. A single kick can break a predator's jaw, or even kill it. The giraffe, the tallest creature on land, possesses legs that are both long and dangerous. At nearly 6 feet long, they can deliver a kick with a force of 2,000 pounds. Its height is also a strategic advantage. Its eyes, positioned over 16 feet above the ground, allow it to spot enemies from miles away. But that height creates a seemingly impossible biological challenge. How does it get blood to its brain? A giraffe's heart is a marvel of engineering, weighing up to 25 pounds and generating blood pressure twice that of a human. Bending down to drink is a potentially fatal act for a giraffe. The immense blood pressure could rupture its brain. But it has a secret, the rete mirabile. A complex system of valves blocks the rush of blood the moment it lowers its head. It is a G-suit, built into its very anatomy. Its entire circulatory system is a wonder of evolution. The warthog dashes through the savanna, its mane like an untamed tuft of grass. Its curved tusks are a vital shield against any foe. When pursued, it vanishes into its burrow with incredible speed. And in this arid land, this ungainly-looking creature is one of the most resilient. The oryx possesses perhaps the most impressive weaponry of all, a pair of long, straight horns that can measure over 3 feet. They look like swords, forged for battle. The wildebeest move like a dark, rolling wave, surging across the plains to the primal drumbeat of nature. In moments of life and death, its sturdy hooves pound the earth, carrying the fierce vitality of the great African migration. When attacked, a wildebeest will confront its aggressor head-on, using powerful shakes of its head to deliver blows that can pierce a lion's thick hide. And finally, the African buffalo, a behemoth that gives even the most courageous predators pause. Weighing nearly 2,000 pounds, with horns as hard as steel, it can turn any hunt into a nightmare. When threatened, it does not flee, it attacks. On the African savanna, where the horizon is always open, and there are few places to hide, survival demands more than just strength or speed. Many species have found their ultimate weapon in the art of camouflage and evasion. It is the ability to vanish in plain sight. The impala is one of the great masters. Its tan coat blends perfectly with the dry grass of the dry season and the lush vegetation of the wet. When it senses danger, it can freeze for minutes on end, becoming just another part of the landscape. Here, on the plains, an ancient riddle presents itself, written in black and white. For decades, we believed these stripes were a form of camouflage. A visual illusion to confuse lions. But the truth is far more subtle and aimed at a smaller, yet more persistent, enemy. To the eyes of the blood-sucking tsetse fly, this is not an animal. It is a disruptive matrix of polarized light. A kind of optical armor that makes it almost impossible for them to find a place to land. This is not just defense. It is a genius solution to a million-year-old problem, etched permanently onto its very skin. To the eyes of this blood-sucking fly, it is a confounding matrix of polarized light that prevents a landing. A brilliant solution to a daily problem, written upon the skin. On the African savanna, communication is a weapon just as powerful as horns or speed. Many herbivores have developed complex alarm systems, capable of turning a simple sound into a signal of survival for the entire community. It is a common language of sounds, gestures, and even scents, linking different species in an invisible defensive network. The impala is perhaps the best example. When it spots a predator, it lets out a piercing bark that can be heard from hundreds of yards away. That sound acts as an alarm call, not just for other impala, but also for zebra, wildebeest, and even birds. The wildebeest, for its part, uses deep, sonorous calls that echo across the plains. The response is instantaneous. Thousands of individuals will bunch together and begin to move as one, creating a constantly shifting wall of bodies. On the Savanna, the future of every species is wagered on the survival of its young. Fragile, naive, and vulnerable, they are at once a source of hope and a critical weakness. The giraffe is a striking example. Although its height helps it detect enemies from a distance, its calf is still an easy target for lions and hyenas. To protect her offspring, a mother will use her most powerful weapons, her hind legs. A single kick can fell a predator in an instant. Hippos, though they spend most of their lives in the water, are also devoted mothers. Their calves always swim right beside them. If a crocodile approaches, the response is immediate. The mother will attack with a bite powerful enough to splinter a wooden boat. Elephants are perhaps the most impressive protectors of all. Living in clans led by experienced matriarchs, they are the ultimate guardians. When danger nears, the adults form a circle around the young, placing them at the center of a living citadel. This collective strategy turns the herd into a near impenetrable fortress. On the Savanna, protecting the young is a behavior forged not merely by instinct, but by millennia of necessity. The African savanna is more than just a stage for breathtaking scenery. It is an arena of ceaseless struggle, where every dawn writes new stories of courage, intelligence, and survival. Here, no victory is permanent, and no defeat is final. The dance of life continues, from one generation to the next, ensuring this wild drama will never have a final curtain. On the wild savanna, to be alone is to be dead. For this one left behind, a minor injury has turned the Great Migration into a dead end. It knows it is being watched. From a distance, two young hunters are hidden in the tall grass. They do not need speed, only patience. The opportunity has arrived. A brutal takedown. There are no miracles for the weak. The weight of the two hunters locks down any hope of survival for this wildebeest. Life slowly fades. The fight has reached a stalemate. The death of one is the life of another. That is the unchanging law of this land. A scene beyond imagination unfolds as the vast savanna trembles under the hooves of millions of migrating creatures. Assassins hide in the shadows, where the cycle of the survival arena turns without end. The Serengeti is the starting point of the greatest journey on the wild fields of the Dark Continent. Countless prey face nature's most brutal tests. Though exhausted by hunger and thirst, they remain resilient, never surrendering to the fangs of the enemy. An eternal cycle of birth and death is the essence of the great journey in the Serengeti, where survival always goes hand in hand with mortality. Every creature, from the elite hunters to the resilient hunted, is a perfect piece of the pristine natural tapestry. The thunder of hooves echoes across the savanna like a prelude to an inevitable clash. In absolute silence, the leopard lies in wait, patiently awaiting the decisive moment. When the target is down, it drags the carcass high into the trees, protecting its prize from scavengers like lions or hyenas. In another corner, the cheetah explodes like an arrow in the battle that defines the line between life and death. However, despite winning the race of speed, this great cat rarely gets to keep its meal. At the same time, the king of the jungle takes advantage of the chaos to deploy sophisticated encirclement tactics, driving the prey into narrow kill zones. The hunt begins where the elite earn the right to continue and the weak must stop forever. In the wild, peace is sometimes just a perfect veneer for a deadly trap. And here, the smallest mistake offers no chance for correction. Beneath the murky waters of the Mara River, Nile crocodiles lie as still as logs, but their eyes follow every movement of their prey. Every leap across the current is a gamble with life, where death can strike at any moment. The Serengeti appears as a boundless kingdom, where the silence of the plains can explode in an instant. Zebras and Thompson's gazelles embark on a tempestuous journey, facing the rivers of death with primal instinct. Every step of the migration is a precious thread, weaving the fragile balance of the web of life in this extraordinary place. From the dense forests to the flooded swamps, every inch of the Serengeti is home to hundreds of species of birds and mammals. This is a tightly woven ecological network, where the role of even the smallest creatures is vital. More than just an Eden, the Serengeti is also a brutal arena for hunters like lions, hyenas, and cheetahs. After each great march, the battles for survival erupt with intensity, creating a mosaic that is both graceful and ferocious. Spanning the central and western regions, the woodland savanna ecosystem creates a characteristic landscape for the Serengeti. This vast territory is a stable habitat for non-migratory species such as giraffes and African elephants. The acacia canopies and dense thickets are not only a source of food, but also a core link in the nutritional supply chain. Annual rainfall reaches 30 to 40 inches, concentrated in the first half of the year, nourishing the lush green grasslands. However, the shifts in climate are gradually reshaping the face of this land. As the rains become more erratic, elephants and other animals must travel farther in search of life. The pressure to survive is mounting, especially during the dry season, when resources become extremely scarce. The pristine forests of the Serengeti are the kingdom of the African elephant, a symbol of intelligence and adaptive strength. With a colossal stature of up to 13 feet and a weight of 6 tons, these creatures hold the responsibility of orchestrating the biological balance. "5 million years of evolution have carved unique biological features onto their bodies. Their large ears, like giant fans, help the elephants dissipate body heat under the scorching sun. In harsh conditions, elephants often move in small family units, crossing the savannas to sustain their lives. When the drought peaks, they use their trunks to dig deep into the dry riverbeds to find water, creating a source of life for a host of other animals. Endemic vegetation, like the acacia tree, is the main food source that helps elephants maintain their energy. Each adult elephant can consume up to 300 pounds of vegetation per day to nourish its massive body. Their feeding habits inadvertently create natural pathways, expanding grasslands and helping plants to regenerate. The erratic weather is creating new barriers, forcing the elephant herds to constantly change their migration routes. Even so, their position in the ecological cycle is irreplaceable. Elephant dung acts as a natural fertilizer, promoting the vigorous growth of the plant system. It is the proud presence of the elephant that has helped the Serengeti maintain its title as the most prosperous kingdom of nature. But power in the Serengeti does not belong only to the calm giants. To survive in this wilderness, sometimes size is not enough. A will of steel is required. On this harsh savanna, the line between life and death is separated by a single misstep. When her little one stumbles, every mother's nightmare begins. But a mother's love is a force that can bend even fear. She turns back, charging straight into the pride of lions. One against a whole pack of assassins. Using her body as a shield, she desperately clings to the faintest glimmer of hope. But creation is too cruel. When the Lion King appears with his overwhelming power, all of the mother's efforts completely collapse. She stands there, helpless, watching the child she bore slowly fade under the enemy's fangs. To let go is the most brutal decision. A life is lost, leaving a wound that will bleed forever in the heart of the one who remains. In another area on the dense savanna, the African buffaloes stand proudly like monuments in the heart of the wild Serengeti. Their sturdy horns, like a protective armor, display an iron will in the most brutal of confrontations. These powerful creatures are the protective legion of the plains, ready to face the most notorious of assassins. In their herd formation, the most elite warriors will stand at the forefront to counter any attack. When the harsh sun reaches its peak, the buffalo herds often hide under the wide acacia canopies to conserve energy. To find food, they gather in large groups and begin their march across the grasslands. Besides satisfying their hunger, their grazing activity is a natural way to manage the density of the vegetation. The buffalo plays a dual role, as the sentinels of the plains and as the keepers of the ecosystem's stability. They hold an undeniably crucial position in the complex food chain of this land. If an adult buffalo is a difficult fortress to breach, the young often fall into the predator's sights. When the drought takes hold, the buffalo herds are forced to seek the last remaining wetlands hidden deep in the forest. These small pools of water now become a bloody battleground for dramatic chases. In the tall grass, Lions lie in patient ambush, waiting for the moment to launch their attack. Amidst the dusty and arid space, the panting of the hunter makes the air thick. However, that suffocating silence is suddenly broken by wild laughter. A sound that signals the presence of those who challenge all order. The spotted hyena emerges as a master of survival amidst the Serengeti's woodlands, asserting its position in the ecosystem. Through over 22 million years of geological change, this species is a heroic testament to enduring life. Thanks to the power of their jaws and a tight-knit social structure, they are the most flexible warriors on the golden savanna. During the dry season, the concentration of animals around the waterholes creates a golden opportunity for the hyena clans. Every step of the spotted hyena exudes an absolute confidence in the strength of the collective. They operate a strict matriarchal society with a membership that can reach up to 80 individuals. When hunting, the rhythmic coordination of the group helps the hyenas create suffocating pressure on their prey in the darkness. At a speed of 35 miles per hour, they are persistent hunters, ready to pursue their target over long distances. Possessing a terrifying bite force of 1,100 psi, no part of the prey is left behind by them. Not only do they hunt, but they are also famous for their ability to steal prey from lions, ensuring a maximum food supply. Every feast of the hyena not only helps them survive, but also helps to purify and balance the Serengeti's environment. However, the hyena's wild laughter is not the only sound that signals an end. A huge dark shadow is descending from the sky, carrying the message of death. Not only large animals, but the Serengeti sky is also bustling with the presence of over 500 species of birds. Each bird species holds a distinct responsibility in this delicate and diverse ecosystem. The marabou stork, with its 10-foot wingspan, creates an authoritative image in the sky. Nicknamed the Undertaker bird, this bird has an appearance as if cloaked in a dark robe. This name is not just a description, but also reflects its role as nature's professional cleanup crew. They frequently appear in the swamps, where lions or hyenas have just finished their bloody hunts. Their sturdy beaks help them clean up carcasses, preventing the spread of pathogens across the savanna. However, the Serengeti is just one piece of the puzzle, while the Miombo woodlands in Zambia are the most extensive savanna system. Stretching across many countries, this land is the domain of great trees like the The towering tree trunks are like pillars holding up the sky, sheltering thousands of creatures below. They are giant green lungs, absorbing carbon and playing a role in regulating the climate for the entire region. Evolution has helped the animals here to harmonize perfectly with the harsh environment of the Miombo woodlands. With a population of approximately 3,000 individuals, the Serengeti proudly asserts its position as the place with the highest density of lions on the planet. The vast grasslands are a stage for the superior hunting skills of the East African lion. Over 2 million years, the king of the jungle has perfected its body to become a flawless killing machine. The lion prides here are truly terrifying in their size and unparalleled power. A male lion can weigh up to 500 pounds, far exceeding the size of the females in the pride. The thick, dark mane is not only a symbol of power, but also a protective armor in battles. Behind the brutal facade of the killer are warm and close family ties. The pride for a lion is a united home, where trust is built through the smallest of activities. The females coordinate to raise the young, willing to nurse cubs that are not their own. Affectionate gestures or grooming each other are a testament to the deep trust among the members. Even the dominant kings reveal a rare gentleness when playing with their small cubs. To maintain their strength, each individual consumes a large amount of meat daily through sophisticated ambush tactics. In explosive sprints of 50 miles per hour, lions quickly subdue large targets like zebras. They deploy an encirclement formation, using their muscular strength and sharp jaws to finish off their victims. However, the king's journey is never without obstacles from rival species. The clashes with hyenas are an essential part of maintaining the ecological order. Currently, the East African lion is on the vulnerable list due to the pressure of human expansion. The decline of this species will have serious consequences for the global biological cycle. In the endless bush, the East African cheetah glides like a lightning bolt, exploding and then vanishing into thin air. The open space of the savanna is the ideal arena for this cat to display its speed. The cheetah's slender body is the result of 3 million years of optimization for absolute agility. Unlike lions, cheetahs choose a solitary lifestyle or small coalitions instead of large prides. The males often team up to hold territory, while the females quietly raise the next generation. Soft communication sounds are their way of maintaining contact in a discreet society. As dawn breaks, The cheetah begins its hunt by taking advantage of the tall grass for camouflage. It can reach a speed of 60 miles per hour in just 3 short seconds. The rhythmic pounding of its paws on the dry ground is like nature's war drums. Although it can reach 70 miles per hour, the cheetah can only maintain this state for a short distance. Its long tail acts as a rudder, helping it to change direction flexibly with every move of its prey. If it cannot finish the hunt quickly, the cheetah will have to stop to recover its energy under the scorching sun. Under the bright sun, the white-headed vulture circles gracefully, keeping an eye on every carcass on the ground. As the pioneering cleaners, they quickly approach the food source before it is stolen by others. At the same time, Ripple's griffon vultures, the sentinels of the sky, are silently observing from an incredible height. Thanks to a special respiratory mechanism, this creature is capable of conquering a record altitude of 36,000 feet. Ripple's griffon vultures maintain a communal lifestyle, sharing precious food sources together. This social interaction helps them optimize their search for resources in this scarce land. Despite their important role, this vulture species is facing the threat of extinction due to illegal activities. Amidst the lush green sea of the Savanna, giant granite formations rise like islands of time. These ancient entities have stood for millions of years, witnessing the changes of the Serengeti. Here, the Maasai giraffe chooses the high acacia canopies as its primary food source. Its superior height gives it the ability to survey its surroundings and provide an early warning of any danger. Its powerful hind legs help it to easily cross the most difficult marshy terrains. A giraffe's kick is a deadly defensive weapon, powerful enough to make a lion hesitate. The rainy season is also the time when the swamps become a safe nursery for giraffe calves. The dense vegetation clusters provide shelter for the new lives from the prying eyes of enemies. As soon as they are born, the calves can stand firm, an important step for survival. The wetlands in the Serengeti are in fact priceless treasures of biodiversity. The density of the thickets provides a safe shield for the large animals from assassins. The abundant water source in the swamps helps the giraffes maintain their health without having to travel far. Perhaps the true masters of the Serengeti swamps are the hippo families. In the still waters, these giants relax, enjoying the bounty of nature. With a weight of up to 2 tons, The hippo is one of the most powerful entities in the water. They spend most of their time submerged to cool down, with only their eyes visible to survey their surroundings. The swamp water not only cools, but is also a shield, protecting the elephant's skin from the harsh sun. The elephant's body secretes a special red compound that functions as a natural antibacterial layer. As darkness falls, the hippos leave the river to begin their foraging journey on land. Each night, they can consume up to 80 pounds of vegetation when other species are resting. The hippo's 1,800 psi bite force is a stark warning to any intruder. The 16-inch long canine teeth are an extremely effective tool for defending their territory. They maintain a tight-knit herd structure to ensure the safety of the group's members. The Grumeti River acts as a living artery for the western corridor of the Serengeti. This is a convergence of forests and swamps, providing an ideal refuge during the dry season. However, beneath its calm surface is the domain of the fearsome Nile crocodile. Weighing 1,500 pounds, this ancient creature is one of the largest reptiles on Earth. It is the embodiment of patience, waiting for the moment the Great Migration erupts to strike. When millions of creatures cross the river, the crocodile uses its 5,000 psi bite force to finish off its prey in an instant. This great march is not just a journey, but a symphony of wild life. Each large herd moves forward, seeking a brighter future on new grasslands. The Western Corridor offers a lavish feast of vegetation for the pilgrims. This place becomes a life-saving stopover for thousands of migrating animals. May brings the end of the rainy season and the beginning of the advance towards the Grumeti River. In June, the herds gather on the riverbanks, where the humidity keeps the grass always green. However, crossing the current becomes a brutal weeding out process by nature. The depletion of water sources and fatigue have pushed many creatures to their limits. This migration is a dance of survival, where all individuals share a collective pulse. The herd formation creates a strong shield against the fangs of the enemy. This unity helps them optimize their ability to find and use the resources of the Western Corridor. The departure of the weak inadvertently sustains the life of aquatic species like the crocodile. From the humid tropical forests to the sun-drenched golden savannas, the natural world appears as a vibrant masterpiece under the shaping hands of creation. The sudden downpours quench the land, washing away the aridity of the dust. The African savanna is where the earth and sky merge at the distant horizon. Every day is a race where the silent hunter and the highly vigilant prey must be. This battle for survival is an inseparable part of the predetermined laws of the universe. When the early morning sun paints the savanna orange, a new chapter of life begins. The vortex of life and death continues to turn, where light and darkness intertwine in an endless battle. The wildebeest herds begin their journey like pilgrims in search of water. Following them closely are the eyes of the night hunters, ready to act when the opportunity arises. In the temperate regions, cheetahs and wild dogs are the biggest obstacles for the migrating herds. Meanwhile, the crocodiles under the flooded rivers are awaiting their annual feast. Only a fortunate portion of the zebras survive this stormy journey to continue their lives. The savanna covers 1/5 of the land area, like a golden silk ribbon spread under the sun. This is a unique ecosystem, with open grasslands interspersed with sparse tree canopies. The African savanna is one of the oldest ecosystems known to mankind. Eight million years ago, the aridity of the climate gave birth to these great grass plains. It was a fateful moment when all creatures had to choose between changing or being wiped out. From those transformations, a new world, harsh but full of life, was formed. The savanna casts its shadow over 65% of the dark continent, like a giant natural carpet. The brilliant golden fields stretching to the horizon create a wild and majestic beauty. This place nurtures over 8,000 plant species, playing a foundational role for the life of all creatures. These green entities not only provide food but also regulate the planet's breath. The animals on the savanna are incredibly abundant, with over 160 mammal species coexisting and competing. In the sky, 2,000 bird species undertake journeys of thousands of miles like pilgrimages. Wetlands like the Sud are home to hundreds of aquatic species and various reptiles and amphibians. The tropical savanna is the vibrant heart, nourishing the lifeblood of the entire African continent. This ecoregion spreads across East and Southern Africa, covering many developing countries. At the center of this region, the Serengeti emerges as a symbol of biodiversity. It is considered one of the richest lands in terms of the number of animal and bird species. The soul of the Serengeti lies in the annual Great Migration between the major national parks. The rainy season brings new life, helping the savanna to turn a lush green. However, when the drought returns, a new test of survival begins. Millions of wildebeest and zebras begin the longest and largest journey on the planet. The 1,000-mile journey is not just a distance, but a test of courage. This march is like a journey to a promised land, where food is more abundant. During their movement, the herbivores inadvertently promote the strong regeneration of the savanna. This entire migration is a crucial source of nourishment for the more than 3,000 kings of the Serengeti. In the Miombo woodlands, a mischievous phantom glides silently. It is the black-backed jackal. With its characteristic silver-striped saddle, they are the most excellent opportunists in the central Zambezi region. The strength of this species lies in the loyalty of pairs who protect their family territory together. Do not mistake them for mere scavengers, because jackals are extremely sharp, coordinated hunters. They do not use muscular strength, but intelligence to subdue mother antelopes. The jackal acts as a sanitation worker, keeping the ecosystem in its healthiest state. Despite their intelligence, they still face pressure from human expansion and disease. In the dense Guinean forests, the leopard, Panthera pardus, is present as an all-powerful assassin. It moves flexibly from the thick canopies to the open savannas in search of opportunities. As a versatile hunter, the leopard's menu is incredibly rich, from monkeys to various birds. When darkness falls, its excellent vision turns it into an unrivaled ruler of the night. Patience and skillful camouflage help the leopard to become one with its surroundings. Taking advantage of the moment when the distance has narrowed, it explodes with a speed of 35 miles per hour to take down its target. After a victory, the leopard often drags its prey up high to protect its prize from lions and hyenas. The journey continues to the Somalia Acacia region, the harshest part of the ecosystem. Here, low rainfall and intense heat create a harsh test for all life. The low, thorny bushes are not just a barrier, but a unique rhythm of this arid land. Acacia and combretum trees stand firm as sentinels, sheltering all creatures under the harsh sun. Every creature here possesses its own survival secrets to turn adversity into opportunity. In that space, the Grevy's zebra appears as a symbol of fierce survival will. With only a few thousand individuals left, it is the rarest zebra species on Earth. As the largest of its family, the Grevy's zebra has a majestic appearance with a weight of up to 1,000 pounds. The thin striped coat and large ears help them both to camouflage and regulate body temperature effectively. They can go for days without drinking, traveling through the deserts to find food. Their cautious steps play an important part in controlling the density of weeds. The bat-eared fox has developed miraculous biological features to adapt to the Somali environment. Their large ears act as sensitive radars, catching every small vibration under the ground. When night falls, this fox begins its silent patrol in search of life. Termites are a precious source of protein and water that helps them survive the long dry periods. Science has recorded the increase in the size of their ears as an evolution for survival. On the South African savanna, the white rhino stands out as a powerful and steadfast entity. Weighing 2.5 tons, it is the largest and most powerful rhino species on the planet. It holds the position of the second largest land mammal, second only to the elephant species. The characteristic square mouth structure makes the white rhino a specialist in grazing on short grasses. The two keratin horns are a symbol of strength and also an ultimate defensive weapon. The history of this species once reached the brink of extinction at the end of the 19th century, with only 20 individuals. However, a conservation miracle brought the white rhino back from the dead in a spectacular way. To date, their population has reached a stable number of over 18,000 individuals. With a daily grass consumption of 265 pounds, they act as landscape architects of the savanna. Kruger National Park is the most important stronghold that helps this species to develop sustainably. Even so, the fight against poaching is still a difficult problem with no final solution. The story on the savanna is not just about death, but about the eternal harmony of creation. In every step of the animals, we can feel the powerful pulse of the wild heart of Africa. Unhurried, unconcealed. It is a movement of confidence, calculation, and majesty. A male lion walks through the morning shadows, as if unafraid of being seen. On the African savanna, he has no need to hide. Over 6.5 feet long and weighing up to 485 pounds, his body is not built for long-distance running. It is built for head-on confrontations. But to think that raw power is his only weapon would be a mistake. The lion's true authority lies in his ability to control his territory and the creatures within it. However, the true hunting strategists are the females. Smaller, more agile, and just as deadly. They move in silence, positioning themselves with an almost choreographed synchronicity. There is no improvisation, only patience and precision. Communication is minimal, conveyed through glances and small gestures. One wrong move could cost them their daily meal. The prey, usually an antelope or a young wildebeest, does not sense the danger until it is too late. By the time the prey sees the hunter's eyes, it is already in the middle of a trap. One lunges from the front, another blocks the escape. Although they are the primary hunters, the lionesses have another mission: to raise and protect the pride. But what sustains that structure is the presence of the males. They are the guardians. When a rival approaches the territorial boundary, there is no negotiation. Two males may fight to the point of exhaustion. The prize is the right to stay with the pride, the right to mate, and the right to control the space. The lion's roar is one of its most effective tools. It can be heard for several miles. It is a clear warning to any other predator. When they hear that sound, antelopes stop grazing, hyenas hesitate. For a king, legacy is not just territory, it is bloodline. By eliminating a rival's offspring, he ensures that only his own genes are passed on. This brutality is the price of maintaining a dynasty. The lion hunts as a pride, but rules alone. He is the ultimate symbol of control in the chaos of the savanna. The savanna seems to rest under the midday sun, but not everything that rests is off its guard. Among the gnarled branches, there are eyes watching in absolute silence. The leopard does not announce its presence. Its power lies in its anonymity. Weighing around 130 pounds, and with a muscular build, it is compact, agile, and lethal. Unlike the lion who rules by presence, the leopard rules by absence. It hunts alone, eats alone, and disappears alone. It can spend hours observing a single spot, waiting for the ideal moment. It moves as lightly as a phantom, avoiding all sound. When it chooses a prey, the outcome is almost always the same: swift, clean, and silent. A precise bite to the neck ends the fight before it begins. No second chances. But the true masterpiece comes after. It lifts the carcass, often heavier than itself, and drags it high into the trees. There, beyond the reach of hyenas and lions, it turns the treetop into its private larder. This behavior is not just instinct, it is method. The leopard avoids disputes and secures its meal with discretion. At night, it becomes a true ghost of the savanna. Its night vision is sharp, its sense of smell precise. It is one of the few predators not bound by a pattern. It hunts birds, rodents, reptiles, anything that offers life. While other predators dominate by force, the leopard dominates by precision, cunning, and the ability to vanish before being seen. As night falls on the savanna, the sounds change. Strange howls, piercing laughs. It is the sign that one of Africa's most feared groups is on the move. The hyenas have arrived. For a long time, they were considered mere opportunists, scavengers, but that image could not be more wrong. The hyena is in fact one of the most effective predators, and its strength lies in its strategy. Weighing up to 176 pounds, the spotted hyena is a specialist in adaptation. Its jaw is one of the most powerful in the animal kingdom, capable of crushing long bones with ease. But it is not just the power of the bite that impresses, but the intelligence behind it. Hyenas live in highly organized clans, led by a dominant female. In that matriarchal structure, communication is key. They emit a variety of sounds, howls, giggles, hisses that act as a code to coordinate attacks. They do not hunt with a fixed plan. They improvise and exploit every mistake of their enemy. If an antelope shows signs of fatigue, it will be pursued until it collapses. Their attack is very different. While other predators bring down and suffocate their prey, hyenas often begin to devour their victim while it is still on the move. Brutal in human eyes, but effective. In addition, hyenas are very combative. They confront lions, steal prey from leopards, and often win because they know how to use their numbers to their advantage. At night, the hyena shows its true face: persistent, enduring, They are capable of traveling long distances to hunt down their prey. Time is their ally. On the vast stage of the savannah, there is a group that stands out not for its individual strength, but for the perfection of its collaboration. They are the African wild dogs. And when they appear, chaos takes an organized form. Their appearance is not as impressive as a lion's, but behind it lies one of Africa's most effective predators. And their secret weapon is absolute coordination. A pack of wild dogs is not just a group, it is a living machine. Every member knows its role. Before the attack, there is a silent gathering. They come together, touching muzzles, emitting low sounds. They are synchronizing, planning. When the chase begins, it is like a mathematical game. One group pursues, another encircles, and a third isolates the prey. They do not win by strength, they win by endurance. Wild dogs can run long distances without losing their rhythm, patiently closing the distance and accelerating at the right moment. What is most impressive lies in the numbers. Wild dogs have the highest hunting success rate of all predators, over 80%. That is not luck, it is collective competence. That organization is not limited to the hunt. All members contribute to raising the young and caring for the injured. On the African savannah, the wild dog is living proof that true terror may not come from a roar, but from the efficiency of the collective. On the African savannah, the spotted hyena is often dismissed as an opportunistic scavenger, but in reality, they are formidable hunters. The majority of their diet comes from hunts carried out by their own clan. Their strength lies in teamwork. The entire clan, led by a dominant female, works together to pressure their target. The characteristic laughter is not mockery, but a tactical language, encoded signals that help the clan tighten its encirclement. When the prey falls, a chaotic feast begins. Nothing is wasted. On this savanna, where the lion rules by strength and the leopard by solitary stealth, the spotted hyena wins through unity. Their chorus is the sound of cooperation, of a unified force conquering the harshest of challenges. But even the chorus of the victor must fall silent when the true king roars. And then there is a sound that can silence all noise, a sound that makes the entire savanna hold its breath. It is not the chaotic cry of a pack, but the solitary declaration of a monarch. When the lion's resounding roar echoes, it is not just a warning, but a command. Every creature, even the most numerous hyena clans, understands the true power has just spoken. The glorious return of the king of predators. Under the heat of the savanna, a pride of lions blends into the landscape, waiting patiently. They are the only big cats that hunt in groups, a deadly coalition led by the females. Today's target is the African buffalo, a colossal and extremely dangerous opponent. The hunt begins not with a roar, but with the absolute silence of a pincer movement. Then, the attack explodes, a brutal dance of power and coordination. Claws and fangs combine to bring down the nearly one-ton giant. When the dust settles, the dominant male appears, asserting his power and the right to eat first. The Feast of the Rulers is a primal spectacle, but by no means private. The scent of death travels far, summoning uninvited guests from the sky. High above, vultures circle, ready to close the circle of life. As the harsh, dry season takes hold, all life on the savanna is compressed around the scarce waterholes. The daytime temperature can exceed 95 degrees Fahrenheit. The nearly 6.5-foot-long neck of a giraffe slowly descends to drink, its posture slow but its gaze never wavering from vigilance. Motionless for hours on end, a Nile crocodile turns patience into its ultimate weapon, waiting for a single moment of vulnerability. A hippopotamus displays its power with a wide-open jaw, showcasing a crushing bite force of over 1,800 pounds. From above, an African fish eagle soars, ready to dive as soon as the shadow of a fish flashes by. The spotted hyena lies in wait, prepared to surround any solitary or exhausted wanderer. Each creature brings its own calculation when it comes here. These waterholes are the very line between life and death. And yet, the deadliest trap of all lies quietly beneath that placid surface. Imagine you are crossing the vast plains, where the dry season sun bakes the earth and every blade of grass trembles. Amidst that endless space, a waterhole suddenly appears. A vibrant congregation is taking place here. Elephants, zebras, giraffes, antelopes, even nocturnal travelers, like the black rhino, all gather, creating a bustling dance of survival. The waterholes on the Savanna can be formed naturally or as a result of human intervention. Sometimes, it is the elephants themselves who are the authors. They often use their tusks to dig for minerals. Over time, these small pits can become long-lasting water sources, creating miniature ecosystems. In addition, the large national parks and nature reserves across Africa have proactively built hundreds of artificial waterholes. In the 1980s, in South Africa's Kruger National Park, about 300 waterholes and 50 reservoirs were developed. Meanwhile, in Namibia's Etosha National Park, the entire landscape is dominated by a giant, dry salt pan. Here, the system of waterholes is more evenly distributed between natural and artificial sources. A few of Etosha's most iconic waterholes have become focal points for the wild world and a magnet for global tourism. At night, these places are often illuminated, offering humans a rare chance to witness moments of quiet and magic. As the first rays of dawn appear, the African savanna enters one of the few cool periods of the day. The dry season temperature at this time usually ranges from 57 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit. The air is still, and the ground has not yet accumulated heat. This is the characteristic moment for the appearance of the small and cautious grazers. They arrive very early to enjoy the peace, before the predators begin their day's activity. This is the springbok, one of the earliest visitors to the waterhole. They never move alone, but always in herds. Each individual maintains a safe distance, enough not to be cornered in case of trouble. Each time it stoops to drink, it lasts only a few seconds before it immediately looks up, its ears pricked, its muscles tense like a bowstring. When agitated, the springbok can leap 6 to 10 feet high, its back arched and the white hair along its spine erect. It is a message to the predator: I have seen you. Data from camera systems show that they only stop at the waterhole for extremely brief moments, unlike species like the zebra, which stay longer. It is this short exposure time that has helped them significantly reduce the risk of ambush. And as the vigilance gradually fades, another kind of bustle immediately fills the space. As the cautious gazelles retreat, the stage is left to a smaller but much more energetic species. Each flock usually has from 10 to 25 birds, moving as a united social block. This noisy presence is even beneficial to grazers like the impala or wildebeest, as they provide an early warning system. Amidst the open space of the savanna, an alarm call from a guinea fowl can travel up to 164 yards. Although they have wings and can fly short distances, guinea fowls usually choose to run to escape danger. They can sprint at speeds of up to 22 miles per hour and possess an extremely agile ability to change direction. Their diet also holds an important ecological role. Their main food is seeds, tubers, and insects, but guinea fowls are also capable of catching small reptiles. The muddy belt around the waterholes is an ideal place to forage, especially in the dry season when insects are attracted to the damp areas. By concentrating their foraging right at the water's edge, guinea fowls have reduced the risk of having to approach the dangerous water's edge too closely. And yet, amidst that commotion, a colossal figure is silently approaching. It is estimated that there are about 28 to 30 million individuals in the wild, the majority live outside protected areas and have adapted very well. Amidst the noisy chaos of the ground birds, a completely contrasting presence approaches, tall, majestic, and almost completely silent. Unlike many other grazers that usually move in the early morning or late afternoon, giraffes mainly drink water between noon and late afternoon. It is a calculated choice. Predators are less likely to lurk around waterholes during the hottest hours, as lions, leopards, and hyenas usually seek shade to rest. With their superior height, giraffes can spot danger from a great distance. But when in the vulnerable drinking position, they are temporarily exposed. They do not keep their heads bowed for too long. Each sip of water lasts only a few seconds, quick and decisive, always accompanied by a raising of the head to scan the surroundings. When traveling in a large herd, a few individuals will stand guard while the others drink. Height, the most prominent feature of the giraffe, is both an advantage and a challenge. Thanks to its stature, the giraffe can reach the high canopy leaves that most other grazers cannot, especially the leaves of the acacia tree. To handle this thorny meal, the giraffe uses its long, dark purple tongue, which can be from 18 to 20 inches long. They do not migrate as far as some of the larger antelope species, but giraffes do move seasonally, traveling between dry and wet areas. However, despite their enormous size, giraffes leave a surprisingly light ecological footprint. Their presence at a waterhole is like a long shadow at noon, quiet, serene, and keeping a respectful distance. They always avoid waterholes with steep banks, deep water, or obscured views. But even a panoramic view cannot hide the lurker beneath the surface. Instead, they prefer places with gentle banks, clear water, hard ground, and a wide open view. Because the threat does not only come from behind or from the flanks, it lurks right in front, perfectly camouflaged as a floating log, just waiting for that single moment of vulnerability. Under the scorching sun of the African savanna, a fierce struggle for survival is silently unfolding. As the waterholes dry up, they turn into arenas for the thirsty. But beneath the murky water, an ancient hunting machine awaits. It is the Nile crocodile, a master of the art of camouflage and patience. With bodies over 16 feet long and weighing nearly 1,500 pounds, they are the undisputed rulers of the riverine world. Only their eyes and nostrils protrude from the water. They watch their prey in silence. They do not need the speed of a cheetah, but rely on a deadly stillness. A surprise snap at a speed of 40 feet per second is enough to seal the prey's fate. The prey is dragged into the deep water before it even realizes the danger. As cold-blooded creatures, crocodiles are completely dependent on the ambient temperature to survive. When it gets too hot, they come ashore, opening their mouths wide to cool down through evaporation, an impressive adaptation. Their diet changes with size, from insects when young to large animals like buffalo when they are adults. Their legacy spans millions of years, etched in every scale and every powerful bite. Recent genetic analysis has revealed the existence of two distinct Nile crocodile species in Africa. On the stage of life and death, the Nile crocodile remains an eternal symbol of primal power. At the large waterholes, the hippos reign as uncrowned kings. They share their domain with the crocodiles in a fragile truce. But when the dry season tightens its grip, that peaceful coexistence quickly shatters. With their massive bodies and skin lacking sweat glands, water is their only salvation from the scorching heat. Weighing over 1.5 tons, they do not swim but glide gracefully along the muddy bottom. When living space shrinks, these gentle giants turn into fierce warriors. Yawns are no longer a sign of tiredness, but a deadly challenge. By wagging their tails to fling dung, they send unmistakable messages of power. When night falls, another life begins. They leave their watery fortress, journeying for miles inland to feed, always returning before dawn. Night falls, turning the savanna into a stage of life and death. This is the world of the leopard, the solitary phantom of the night. The waterhole, the source of life for all species, now becomes a death trap under its watch. Hidden in the shadows, its rosette-patterned coat makes it perfectly invisible. Its eyes, two glowing gems, pierce the darkness, searching for a moment of the prey's vulnerability. Patience is its ultimate weapon, every movement calculated to perfection. And then, in a flash, it strikes, a whirlwind of muscle and claws. Its extraordinary strength allows it to drag its prey up a tree, safe from the competitors on the ground. A master of adaptation, it survives where others must fail. But even this perfect predator is facing an uncertain future. Recent ecological studies have found that vultures often fly at altitudes of 1,600 to 5,000 feet around waterholes during the dry season. This is when the mortality rate of animals is high due to exhaustion, malnutrition, or injuries sustained while competing for water. From above, with vision 3 to 4 times sharper than humans, they can spot a wildebeest that has strayed from its herd. Unlike New World vultures, which rely heavily on their sense of smell, African vultures are completely dependent on sight. This effect can attract dozens or even hundreds of vultures in less than an hour. Their bald heads and necks allow them to delve deep into the chest cavity or abdominal region of a carcass without their feathers getting matted or dirty. Their strong, curved beaks can tear through the thick hide of large animals like the African buffalo or giraffe. A long, flexible neck allows them to access the most nutrient-rich organs, the liver, heart, and intestines, which are full of protein and minerals. Their immune system is a biological marvel. With stomach acid at a pH of nearly 1, they can neutralize pathogens. Their migratory behavior is much more flexible than that of many other birds of prey. And then, another opportunist enters the scene. They can travel hundreds of miles to follow the movements of wildebeest and zebra or to reach areas affected by drought. At the waterhole, the competition for food is not just among different vulture species, but also includes the marabou stork. Both feed on the carrion left over from a predator's kill, but the vultures have the advantage in numbers, tearing strength, and speed of arrival. They often arrive just minutes after the vultures have started to gather. The marabous land with a slow but determined gait, walking straight into the crowd. In many cases, that beak becomes a weapon used to push back rivals and snatch the best pieces of meat. Their evolutionary adaptations are clearly reflected in their physical traits. Like many vultures, their heads and necks are almost bald, sometimes with only a few downy feathers, which minimizes the risk of contamination. Their large, strong, and straight beaks act like a dagger, capable of cutting through tough muscle tissue and even killing small prey. Their diet shows just how opportunistic they are. Besides carrion, marabou storks also eat fish, frogs, insects, lizards, young birds, eggs, and rodents. They frequently forage in garbage dumps near human settlements, where leftover food becomes a convenient source of energy. Sometimes they wait for the vultures to tear open the thick hide before stepping in to take the soft tissues inside, saving effort and avoiding risk. At the waterhole, their role extends beyond scavenging. The marabou stork watches the weak or injured animals closely, striking with quick pecks. They are also known to hunt fish in the dwindling pools as the dry season deepens. But that long beak can also be a disadvantage, making it difficult to grip slippery fish in the muddy water. But high above, a pair of golden eyes is watching every mistake. Perched motionless on a bare, sun-bleached branch, the African fish eagle locks its piercing golden eyes on the scene below. The splash of water and the flapping of wings become a signal too loud to ignore. The eagle leans forward slightly, spreads its 7.5-foot wingspan, and dives, the wind whistling as it descends. But it is not aiming for the fish in the water. It is aiming for the one holding it. A sharp cry rips through the air, and the marabou stork freezes, glancing up for a fraction of a second. Just a moment's hesitation, and the fish slips from its beak, falling onto the muddy ground. In a flash, the African fish eagle folds its wings and swoops down like an arrow, its legs extended, its talons lined with rough, horny scales. The African fish eagle is a close relative of the North American bald eagle. It is found widely throughout sub-Saharan Africa, from the Great Lakes like Victoria, Tanganyika, and Malawi to the major rivers like the Nile and the Zambezi. Their movements are not long-distance migrations, but seasonal shifts driven by food availability. In the ecosystem, the African fish eagle plays a dual role. It is a top predator of fish and waterfowl, and at the same time a scavenger and a kleptoparasite, taking advantage of meals caught by others. As darkness fades over the still water of the waterhole, the last sounds of the night begin to fall silent. All that remains is the harshness of the deep, dry season, tightening its grip on the savanna. The predators have retreated, leaving behind a heavy silence. This is the beginning of a new day, a day where the lines of survival are drawn ever more sharply. The savanna enters its most arid period of the year, the deep dry season, where all life is drawn to a single focal point, the waterhole. Under the increasingly intense sun, the waterline recedes day by day, leaving behind a crust of cracked mud and a jumble of overlapping tracks. The small, shallow pools are the first to disappear. During prolonged droughts, the water level in many smaller holes drops steadily by 1 to 2 inches a day. In less than 2 weeks, a shallow depression can be completely dry. The deeper, larger waterholes that remain become the final gathering points of the savanna. Every species converges. Whether it is an elephant leading its herd across dozens of miles, or an impala weaving through the bush, all are drawn to the single, dwindling source of water. There are no longer boundaries between predator and prey. No longer a choice of a safer time to drink. No longer space to keep a safe distance. The waterhole becomes nature's last supper. The Cape buffalo are often the first to arrive, simply because they are rarely far away. They find their way to the waterhole through the arid African savanna. This buffalo species is widely distributed throughout southern and eastern Africa, with a total African buffalo population estimated at around 513,000 individuals. That number continues to decline, a long-term trend due to habitat loss, hunting, and climate change. They have adapted through a strong herd lifestyle. Groups can range from a few dozen to over 1,000 individuals, with a clear social structure and hierarchy. When they approach the waterhole, their first instinct is to drink. They usually arrive in the early morning or late afternoon to avoid the scorching heat. The mud along the water's edge offers more than just refreshment. The Cape buffalo wallow in it to cool down, protecting themselves from flies, mosquitoes, and parasites. When it dries, the mud acts as a natural armor. This is also when social interactions occur most frequently. But the waterhole is by no means safe. This life-sustaining resource always brings competition. Sometimes the Cape buffalo confronts a rhino. But when the true giants arrive, all must give way. In the stillness of the landscape, those calls travel far, creating a kind of primal music that only those who have heard it firsthand can truly understand. The grey-crowned crane does not need a breeding season to perform its courtship dance. This ritual is an essential part of their social behavior. As two cranes face each other, their legs begin to bounce gently. Then suddenly, they leap into the air. They spin, they bow, they sway, they flap their wings, and they call, sometimes even tossing sticks or blades of grass as props in this expressive, emotional display. Researchers believe that these dances are not just mating rituals. They strengthen the bond between lifelong pairs. Although not a long-distance migrant, the grey-crowned crane does move seasonally, following the water sources and the promise of lush vegetation. They are widely distributed throughout eastern and southern Africa. This bird is the national symbol of Uganda, appearing at the center of the nation's flag in a proud stance, representing grace, composure, and national pride. In the wild, the gray-crowned crane lives for an average of 20 to 25 years, and in captivity, they can live up to 35 or even 40 years. However, their status as a cultural icon comes not from their longevity, but from their refined demeanor, complex social habits, and their unique ability to express emotion. Then, suddenly, a brilliant red beak silently descends into the shallows. The saddle-billed stork quietly wades into the shallows. Its brilliant red beak, banded with yellow, glints in the light. Unlike ambush predators like the heron, the saddle-billed stork hunts with a more active and deliberate method. It often forages alone or in pairs, wading slowly through the shallows with a calm, focused demeanor. Its unhurried steps and sweeping gaze scan the water's surface. The waterhole is a lifeline, a gathering place, a battlefield, a stage, all existing in a small space, but connecting hundreds of species. To humans, it may seem like nothing more than a mud puddle, but for the wild world, it is where life begins, is reborn, and reconnects. And as the rains begin to fade across the savanna, where the ground is cracked and the dry bushes struggle under the heat, the waterholes are no longer a gift of nature. They become a battlefield against disappearance. Under these conditions, conservation efforts are launched with urgency and innovation. In Kenya's Tsavo Conservancy, 2 new boreholes have been drilled deep into the earth, providing a stable source of water for the people, their livestock, and the countless herds of wildlife. In Zimbabwe's Hwange National Park, over 25 hybrid solar and diesel pumps work continuously, keeping the waterholes full, even at night. In South Africa, artificial waterholes are strategically placed based on the specific preferences of each species. Every drop of water is no longer something that falls freely. It is preserved through the combined efforts of science, local communities, and silent guardians. But that life cannot exist without the protective hand of man. Conservation is not just the work of organizations. It begins with awareness and the small actions of each individual. Because when the natural world suffers anywhere, we, wherever we are, also lose a part of ourselves. And if you have ever experienced an African safari, watching rhinos and elephants gather at a waterhole to quench their thirst, do not hesitate to share your knowledge and experience. Your story could become the spark that ignites future conservation efforts. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to join us on the next extraordinary adventure